Naruto's path to power, perfect Jinchuriki and unstoppable rise against Konoha's root. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 151. About the secret of the Uchiha clan ancestral hall. The two carefully retreated outside the study, and at the same time restarted the original mechanism. It's really exciting, I've never dared to break into such a place. Hinata was a little overwhelmed with excitement, and at the same time, his heart was pounding. Apparently Hinata had never done anything like this before. Sometimes you don't follow the rules, you can try something that you don't dare to do, and you will find something different. I'll take you to more interesting places in the future, but now let's prepare to go to the gathering place of the Uchiha clan. Or maybe it's the gathering place of the Uchiha family. The gathering place of the Uchiha family was once very large, and the place of the ancestral hall was the southwest corner of their gathering place. If this place is on weekdays, it can be said that it is very tight, and there are people from the Uchiha family to guard it. Ordinary people have absolutely no chance to get in. And every time there is some major festival or the death day of the elders, only the people of the Uchiha clan will be allowed to enter. It's just that now there is no such bustling scene at all. Naruto was also the first time he came to this kind of place, and he couldn't help but be a little curious in his heart. Naruto pushed open the very large door and came to the side hall walkway. The first thing that catches your eye is the spiritual seats and other miscellaneous items left behind by those members of the Uchiha clan. After the Uchiha clan was exterminated, it seems that no one came here to clean up. After bypassing the ancestral hall, walking towards the back is a narrow passage. The passage was very dim, and Naruto felt it, and a cold aura emanated from inside. Except that he was a little afraid of this path and hugged Naruto's arm tightly. It looks a little scary here. That's nature, there have been many people from the Uchiha clan who died here. But don't be afraid of anything, can dead people still crawl out of the ground? After Naruto lit a torch, the two of them walked directly through the narrow tunnel. This corridor is not narrow, and after lighting the lights on both sides in turn, it has begun to light up somewhat. It's just that the sounds coming from around are all the footsteps of two people. In less than 2 minutes, it was already at the end. It was a closed stone gate, and above the division gate was the unique Puffon mark of the Uchiha clan. After pushing open the heavy stone door, the two came inside arm in arm. The first thing that catches your eye is the rows of bookshelves. These shelves are densely packed with all the books about the Uchiha family. Hinata said to Naruto, pointing to the books on these shelves. I think those things should be on these shelves. Naruto shook his head. If what we were looking for was in this kind of place, I am afraid that someone else would have taken it away. Although it seems that there is no trace of cleaning here, do you think that the upper management of the property will really not send someone to search here? So what can stay here is all rags for us, and there is no value at all. The two held hands and continued their search here. After walking around, I didn't find any other entrances, which is a little strange. If I'm not mistaken, that place must be here, there must be other secret passages. Hinata, use your eyes to see if there are any other passages or mechanisms under this house. Hinata nodded, so he opened his eyes directly, and in an instant everything was visible under his eyes. Found it, there is a secret passage behind the wall over there, and there is also a mechanism next to it that can be activated. The one on the wall, there's a button on the back of the painting. Naruto directly reached out and tore a drawing off, and then saw a red brick hidden behind. After pressing it heavily, a secret door opened again, directly behind a wall. Looking down the secret door, there is a deep walkway leading to the underground. After following the walkway all the way down, I finally came to the ancestral hall of the Uchiha family. The first thing that catches your eye is the inscription that stands in the middle of the ancestral hall, full of dense charms. These inscriptions can only be understood by those who use the Sharingan. And after using the Eye of Reincarnation, you will be able to see some other special hidden information. It's just that the words on these inscriptions have long been completely tampered with, now that the people of the Shao organization have not fully appeared. For the current Naruto, the Shao organization is still a huge security risk. And this plan hatched by Black Jew is also the biggest threat to himself. So now we have to find a way to erase the contents of this set of inscriptions. Hinata continued to roll his eyes, observing everything here, and when he scanned the inscription, he suddenly found that there was information on it that he wanted. I found the location of the meteorite record, and it was written on this inscription. How is this possible? Naruto was a little surprised, because this inscription was completely designed for the talents of the Uchiha clan. How could he see some information unique to it? What do you see on it? Read it out to me completely. Hinata also began to follow the above words, and began to tell Naruto, 1 word 8-10 sentences. It is written that within the range marked by the fish and the cloud iron, there are a total of 10 meteoric irons, and these cloud iron are exactly what makes artifacts. The 6 Tao Immortals placed these 10 meteoric irons in 10 different positions. Naruto asked immediately. Where did you put it? The first piece of meteorite is placed on Miamu Mountain. Miamu Mountain didn't expect to be there. And what about the rest? Unexpectedly, Hinata shook his head. Only one place is recorded, but the following picture says that only if you find the first piece, you can find other information next. That is to say, meteoric iron like this can only be looked for piece by piece, and it is placed in different positions. This matter was really something Naruto didn't expect. He didn't expect the 6 Tao Immortals to be so cunning. This stone tablet placed here can only be seen by the people of the Uchiha clan. However, some of the inscription information recorded above can only be perceived by those with white eyes. This is clearly not to let this information be discovered by the people of the Uchiha family. Because under normal circumstances, it is absolutely impossible for someone from the Hyuga clan to come to such a place, then this secret can never be discovered. Episode 152, A Military Political State? What to do? These 6 immortals are really a cunning fox. He divided the information into 2 volumes in this way, just because he didn't want to be discovered by others. If we hadn't accidentally started looking for this clue this time, I'm afraid no one would have found it again in this life. Hinata seems to be the right thing to do by letting you come here this time. I'm afraid only the 2 of us know this secret. If we find all those meteorites, wouldn't it be nice to create an artifact exclusive to you? Hinata asked. Naruto. Why do you have to be so nice to me? Because I want to be nice to you. What must be the reason for this? At this moment, there was a sudden noise in the village, and many people began to run. Immediately after that, an explosion sounded, and the smoke rose instantly. Not good. Someone has invaded Konoha, go and see. The 2 came to the place where the explosion had just occurred at the fastest speed, and saw that it was 2 people from the Show organization. 2 people, Dry Persimmon Oni and Uchiha Itachi, are fighting against Kakashi and Mat Kai. I was thinking about the people who knew the organization, but I didn't expect to send it to the door. Since you're here, don't go. Naruto immediately landed steadily among the 4 with a stride. The dried persimmon Oni couldn't help but smile when he looked at Naruto in front of him, and the row of shark-like teeth looked disgusting. You're the little devil named Naruto, right? I've heard of your name. I didn't expect to see you today. It's really interesting. Naruto looked coldly at the dried persimmon Oniko. It's really a nowhere to step on iron shoes, and it doesn't take any effort to get it. The Show organization is a gathering place for fugitives like you, and I will definitely not be merciful. Since you're here, don't think about leaving. Kakashi said behind him. Naruto, be careful, these 2 guys are not ordinary powerful. Kakashi, don't worry, you 2 will be watching the battle from the sidelines for the time being, and I will clean them up. The dried persimmon ghost mackerel said unashamedly, just because you are a little ghost? Today I will let you know how powerful we know the organization. As soon as the words fell, the dried persimmon ghost mackerel rushed directly up. The big knife in his hand slashed suddenly. Naruto knew how powerful the guy in front of him was, but it was still not enough in front of him. After easily dodging away, it flashed directly behind the dried persimmon ghost mackerel, and the speed was so fast that everyone present did not see it. Immediately afterwards, he kicked the dried persimmon ghost mackerel in the back. The strength was simply terrifying, and the dried persimmon ghost mackerel, never expected to be so careless, was kicked out by Naruto, and the whole person flew directly into the air and turned into an arc and disappeared. Everyone present was stunned. The master of the Show organization was so vulnerable in front of Naruto. This. Naruto, how did you do it? Kakashi's eyes widened, full of disbelief. Naruto ignored Kakashi because there was also a Uchiha Itachi in front of him who was the most difficult. However, Naruto did not intend to fight with Uchiha, because he knew that Uchiha Weasel was originally undercover inside the Show organization. After seeing this scene, Uchiha was also slightly surprised, and then fell into calm again. I didn't expect Naruto, you have such means at such a young age. I don't know how my trick is. Uchiha Itachi instantly opened the Sharingan, and Naruto's eyes were right in the opposite direction. In the blink of an eye, he entered the illusion world of Uchiha Itachi. However, this was completely in Naruto's plan, and he deliberately wanted to enter the world of illusion. In this way, I can talk to Uchiha about something. It's just that Naruto in the illusion world is tied up by 5 flowers, and a large field of crows is constantly flying in front of him. Immediately after that, Uchiha's shadow appeared in front of him, looking at Naruto coldly. A smile appeared at the corner of Naruto's mouth, and then effortlessly and directly broke free and returned to his free body. This scene, even Uchiha Itachi, who considered himself a master of illusion, was shocked. That's impossible. How could you still be free in my fantasy world, Uchiha Itachi? Don't be surprised, I'm here on purpose, to drag you into the world of illusion. I know your true identity and purpose, I came to you to talk about something. Uchiha was obviously not convinced. Oh? You say you know my true identity? Let's talk about it. In order to gain Uchiha's trust, Naruto said, all you did before was for the safety of the entire village. It's not your fault that people slaughtered the Uchiha clan. That's just an order from that incompetent old man who ate Flying Sun. You're just a person at the mercy of others. None of this is your fault. As soon as these words came out, Uchiha Weasel had already believed half of it, but still asked expressionlessly, go ahead, tell me something that makes me believe you. You were also arranged to go undercover when you entered the Shao organization, and this is what I know. But no one believes these words now, except me. The third generation of Hokage is gone, and the only person you can trust in the village is me. Doesn't that mean anything? Uchiha Itachi, you are a smart person, and a master who is smarter than anyone else. You could have had a better future and a bright future, you shouldn't have followed this path. But since you have reached this point, your undercover operation must continue to go. Since you are also an integral part of the next plan, how about we work together? Uchiha Itachi thought for a while before saying, since you already know, just say anything if you have anything. Naruto also stopped talking nonsense. Now I want to completely reform the entire ninja world and turn Konoha village into a military political country. And it's a superpower, but I need your help. The future of the ninja world is like this, and if I don't follow my path, I'm afraid it won't be long before a catastrophe occurs. We're going to have a hard time coping. You're a smart person, so think about whether you want to cooperate or not. A country with a military political integration? How to do it? The method is very simple, that is, first overthrow those daimyo who are lazy and have real power. Those talents are stumbling blocks for our ninjas, and we can't move forward as long as they have them. Episode 153, Uchiha Itachi. Working with me is the right choice. You must know that we are the world of ninjas, not the world of daimyo. Why let that group of scrap materials lead us? Uchiha was lost in thought. For him Naruto's words and goals were very clear. Naruto saw that Uchiha Itachi didn't move for a long time, so he continued to add. You are a rare talent. I know that what you care about most is your younger brother Uchiha Sasuke. I have arranged for Sasuke to start cultivating, and his destiny will follow me towards success. At that time, as long as we establish a country that integrates military and political affairs, your Uchiha clan will prosper again in this world. Uchiha shook his head helplessly. Your idea is very good, but I have an incurable disease. I'm afraid I won't see that day. But I'd love to see that day come. Nope. I can cure your disease. As soon as these words came out, Uchiha Itachi looked at Naruto with wide eyes. He didn't believe that his illness could be cured, and it would be great if it were true. Really? Really? We can make a deal as long as I can cure you. We want 153 cooperation. How? Deal. What I did before was really helpless. If it weren't for living in this family, maybe I would have started a family long ago. I already live with my beloved, but nothing can change. If there is a chance to make up for these regrets in the future, I am willing to cooperate. But as for Sasuke's thing, I wonder where he is now. I gave him to Orochimaru, and Orochimaru can give Sasuke all his skills. Orochimaru? Didn't you push him into the fire pit? Naruto shook his head. You don't know, although this guy of the big snake pill was not a good thing before, of course, it is not a good thing now. But I have already accepted him as my own, and he will never be unfavorable to Sasuke, you can rest assured of this. If the big snake pill has any bad intentions, I will know it immediately. With my ability, I can fully guarantee Sasuke's safety. Uchiha nodded, he had already seen Naruto's great strength. I really didn't expect, Naruto, that you can be so powerful at such a young age. It seems that I will have to follow you from now on to achieve something. But there's another question, what are you going to do with the dried persimmon ghost mackerel? In addition to you, I will solve the members of the small organization one by one. As for this dried persimmon ghost mackerel, I will take it away today. You should also know what a big problem this guy has committed. Until now, he's still a wanted man, so I have to get rid of it. Uchiha let out a long sigh. Hey! Will you finally be able to come to this day? In that case, I will no longer stop you, and we will continue to keep in touch after I return. As for the officer, how you want to deal with it, it's up to you. Then Uchiha Weasel directly withdrew the world of illusion. The two returned to the real world again, but in the eyes of others. The time between the two men was only a second. But in fact, the time of the two in the fantasy world has reached 10 minutes, which is just the difference in the speed of time flow in the illusion world. If Uchiha is willing, he can even create more than 10 days of time in a row in the world of illusion. And for the real world, only a second can pass. In dealing with those ordinary ninjas, only this move is needed to be able to break the opponent's spirit. If it hadn't been for Naruto's timely attack this time, I'm afraid it would have been Kakashi who had been hit. Although Kakashi is also very powerful, he does not have any advantage in the face of the Sharingan illusion. Naruto, be careful, the other's eyes. Kakashi was late at this point and said to Naruto. Kakashi, you're too late to say this. What followed was just a scene between Naruto and Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha looked at and Kasi then said. We know that the organization will never let you go, now you are just relying on the number of people. I'll definitely be back. After saying that, he jumped and fled directly outside the village. Kakashi and Matkai tried to step forward to catch up, but were stopped by Naruto. Don't chase it, even if we catch up, we can't get any bargains, let's solve the other guy first. Do you mean that dried persimmon ghost mackerel that you just flew away? Where is he now? He'll be right over. At this moment, above the sky, a huge water dragon suddenly appeared and rushed down towards several people. Shui Shui Duan. Raging water dragon bullet technique. The communication knife in the hand of the officer Oni Oniku slashed directly at Naruto in the air. It's already several times faster than before. At this time, the dry silicone has completely killed the red eye, and he can't forget the humiliation just now. People like dried persimmon ghost mackerel can be said to be very perverted in their hearts, especially on this occasion, they have suffered such a big loss. As long as there is something hateful, he will solve it on the spot, only this time he picked the wrong person. The mackerel will absorb every time it hits the other party, a large number of chakras, this move Naruto naturally knows. Therefore, with each attack, he perfectly dodged the past, and did not fight with the interfering ghost mackerel at all. On the contrary, Kakashi and Matkai did not know that he had such a trading knife attribute. After only 2 phases, the few chakras left in Kakashi's body were directly absorbed. A ninja chakra, after the loss, can be said to be no different from an ordinary samurai. Although Kakashi is a shinobi, the amount of chakra in his body is very small, so all his battles are basically won by mind and stratagem. After encountering dry silicone, which has the ability to absorb enemy chakra, it becomes completely without any advantage. After all, any technique is completely vulnerable in the face of absolute strength, and after being drained of chakra, Kakashi's body immediately went limp, but he still held up strongly. He looked at each other in disbelief. How is this possible? My chakra was actually absorbed in an instant. The officer Oni arrogantly looked at the communication knife in Kakashi's hand and was about to cut down. Episode 154, that's it? I thought it was amazing. You ninjas in Konoha village are just that, in my opinion, all of them are a group of ants. Today I will let you learn the true horror of my dried persimmon ghost mackerel. At the moment when the saber fell, Naruto suddenly appeared between the two. The fist in his hand was as fast as lightning, and a punch hit the abdomen of the dried persimmon ghost mackerel, and the whole person flew into the air again. However, this time, the dry and wet ghost glue stabilized in midair, and the figure was still arrogant and shouted towards the two. I'm waiting for this opportunity to give you a taste of my other big trick. The art of waterfall. Instantly, centered on dry silicone, a large amount of moisture began to expand rapidly. Completely wrapped around him, a huge water ball with a diameter of 1 kilometer was formed. This water ball can actually be suspended in midair, and every movement of dry silicone can drive this water balloon and move at the same time. All the objects are absorbed into this huge water balloon. At the same time, the shape of dry silicone has completely changed. From not looking like a human, at this time, the body began to slowly twist, turning into a complete half-human, half-shark form. In the water, sharks can be said to be the hegemon in the ocean. They have great undersea survivability and attack patterns, and the ghoul mackerel is a representative of this. In the water, he is absolutely an invincible existence in the world. Only this time he chose the wrong person. Naruto quietly looked at the huge water ball floating in midair and smiled coldly. I thought it was something, isn't it this water balloon? Kakashi and Matkai on the side were extremely surprised. How is this possible? Once wrapped in this water balloon, we will not live more than 3 minutes, and even if we are not killed, we will suffocate. Quickly evacuate all the people of Konoha village and leave this place. Don't be wrapped up in this water balloon, otherwise you'll be finished. Naruto said to Kakashi. Kakashi Metkai, don't panic for the two of you, let's witness the miracle next. Kakashi and Matkai suddenly froze in place, not knowing exactly what Naruto was trying to do, but they weren't acting either. Naruto finally slowly pulled out his slashing moon at this time. The invisible energy that burst out in an instant enveloped all the surroundings, but ordinary people could not detect it. Dry ghoul mackerel, then I'll see if you can take this trick of mine. As soon as the words fell, the slashing moon in Naruto's hand instantly condensed a powerful sword chi and roared. The moon was like a steel needle, directly piercing a huge round shield, and no one could stop it at all. The root ghost mackerel originally thought that he was completely invincible within his water balloon. But when he saw the slashing moon, the whole person was so surprised that he couldn't move. By the time he came to his senses again, the corpses had been separated. The entire huge blister also fell apart immediately after losing its body and dying, turning into raindrops and falling one after another. The entire village of Konoha was as if it had been subjected to a torrential rainstorm, and after being watered, it was wet everywhere, even Naruto. But Naruto didn't think about it in the slightest. His eyes had been staring at the dried persimmon ghost mackerel that has long been separated from the sky and his big knife. The regenerative ability of this guy is also very powerful, and he is in a desperate situation. You can even hide your body in that big knife and wait for the chance to be reborn again. Congratulations to the host for successfully killing the dried persimmon ghost mackerel and gaining 1.5 million heavenly destiny points. I didn't expect that there was actually 1.5 million heavenly destiny values, which was so valuable than that ape flying sun slash. It seems that everyone else in the Shao organization is also a big piece of fat. Others already knew that the dried persimmon Onako had completely cooled, and this time Naruto didn't give him another chance. Naruto's blow to the moon just now was very powerful, and before the other party could react, he had completely lost consciousness. And the big knife that fell down had no possibility of hiding anything at all. Naruto, how the hell did you do it? It was able to win with one blow, and why didn't he suck your chakra attribute away? Kakashi on the side was very puzzled. Naruto explained. Actually, when I touched him just now, I had already sucked away some of the chakra. It's just that every time the other party sucks chakra from my body, the amount is very limited, which is not a big loss for me. For me, such a little minions are simply vulnerable, and there is no threat at all. Next time you encounter such an opponent, you too must be careful, not every time I will help you. At this moment, Hinata had also followed. Hinata had deliberately been made to hide in a safe corner to avoid him getting hurt, and now that the battle was over, he came to Naruto's side again. Naruto, how are you doing, are you alright? Naruto nodded and said to Hinata. Don't worry, I'm safe, how can something happen? What you should be worried about is whether the enemy can escape from my hands, haha. Naruto, you really can joke, although you are very powerful, but I worry about you every battle. So Hinata, you must also become stronger, maybe you can reach my strength in the future, and become stronger with me together. Protecting the village, can do your part. Naruto carefully counted the days, and now there was not much time left before the empty country appeared again. But now he has more important things to do, and at that time, the village needs to be guarded. You have to take precautions. Kakashi, I have something very important to tell you. Kakashi asked as he came to Naruto wearily, what's going on? Kakashi, have you heard of the empty country? It seems that the empty country has never heard of this thing. Is that a country? Yes, it is indeed a country, but a country that has disappeared for a long time. If you are not clear, you can consult our historical materials, and then you will naturally understand. What I want to tell you is that now that this empty country is about to recover, it can be said that there are huge hidden dangers for the ninja world. And his primary target is our Konoha village, so you have to prepare Tsunade for everything. Kakashi asked rhetorically. Aren't you in the village? That's right, I'm going to go out to Miyamu Mountain for a trip recently, maybe I won't be able to come back in a short time. Episode 155. I think since immortal arts are so powerful, why not let many people learn it? If the empty kingdom does show up, then it will be up to you. If you can get back in time, I will also help you eliminate the threat of this empty country. Tell Tsunade to start acting immediately and prepare for defense, if you can quickly counterattack. For Naruto now, helping Hinata build a suit is a priority, so this operation to Mount Myoki must go. After settling down in the village, he took Hinata directly to Mount Myoki. It's just that this Myoki mountain, as one of the 3 holy places in the ninja world, can be said to be very difficult to find. But for Naruto, he knew where this Myoki mountain was hidden. Of course, Hinata had also heard of the existence of Mount Myoki, but she was very puzzled by some questions. Naruto, how did you know where Mount Myoki is? Can you tell me, what's wrong with this? I tell you, he's just on an island above the sea. If you want to get there, you have to cross the waves before the ancestors can reach it, and it can be said that not everyone can find it. but I naturally have my own way. I also know that there are powerful immortal arts in Miyamu Mountain, and the one of the three of us is also learning immortal arts. I don't know what this immortal art looks like and why it is so powerful. Naruto also had other thoughts in his mind at this time, because there were actually many unsolved mysteries about fairy arts. The first unsolved mystery is that the wet bone forest is the only place that does not appear. Although the location of Lonely Cave has appeared in the later Boruto legend, it is still full of mysteries. The second point is that these immortal arts existed long before Datuki Kagaya came here. So who created and used this magic is also an unsolved mystery. However, although there are very few people who practice fairy arts, even in the ninja world, they can be counted on one finger. However, the strength of immortal art is very strong. If you can master immortal art, won't you be able to deal with future enemies? Because the Atsuki clan have a special ability, they are immune to all chakra attacks. However, it is impossible to defend against immortal arts, which is the key to defeating the invasion of the future Atsumi clan. I have to learn fairy arts. In this way, only fairy arts are the key to victory, and I can also use immortal arts to absorb natural energy, then won't my chakra reserves reach an endless level? Hinata looked at Naruto talking to himself, and couldn't help but ask, Naruto. What are you muttering? Why do you look so excited, huh? I just thought of something. Hinata leaned over to Naruto with a curious face and looked at him. What's going on? I would like to know too. Naruto looked at Hinata's cute appearance and simply told her something. However, there are some key information that she can't tell all about. After all, some things are not good if you know them in advance. What I'm going to tell you is about the use of fairy abilities. Do you know what special abilities immortal art has? Hinata shook his head. I don't know. Isn't it just chakra? What difference can it make? You don't know that, even chakra has a lot of differences. For example, our own chakra sizes are different now, and we can use the chakra attribute as a subtle distinction. It's like everyone's ID card is different, but the only thing that is the same is that the human body can only produce the chakra itself. And fairy art is a chakra that can be converted through the energy of nature. In other words, as long as you learn immortal arts, you can obtain inexhaustible natural energy anytime and anywhere. Hinata naturally understood what was going on when he heard this. Are you saying that as long as you learn fairy arts, you can have endless chakras? I heard that Jiraiya-sama is also a fairy art learned. No wonder Jiraiya-sama is so powerful. In fact, it is only a part of the strength of the immortal art, and if it is all exerted, it will be even more powerful. Hinata looked puzzled. Why only exert part of the power of immortal arts? Isn't it good for adults to study? Naruto shook his head. Of course this is not the case, but it is determined by the characteristics of fairy arts. Every practitioner of immortal arts is different, and some subtle changes will occur according to the cultivator's physique. Therefore, every ninja who practices immortal arts will have different degrees of exclusive enhancement direction and ability. And there is another feature, that is, if the higher the degree of combination of the big toad fairy art, the smaller the characteristics of the toad. Hinata couldn't understand for a moment what this meant. Naruto laughed. Haha. You will naturally know when you get to Miyamu Mountain, but don't tell anyone else about it. Why? This matter is very important, and it must be kept secret. If the location of Miyamu Mountain is exposed, I am afraid that it will be found by people with bad intentions. For the ninja world, once this power is mastered by bad people, then you know what the consequences are. Hinata nodded. I know, but I thought that since fairy arts are so powerful, why not let many people learn it? Wouldn't our Konoha village be even stronger in that case? Naruto was amused by Hinata's naive thought, but he just shook his head helplessly. You will know some things by then. It's not early, let's hurry up. We have to walk at sea for a while to get to our destination. In Naruto's heart, he actually already had his own plans. This time, the main goal of the March 1.9 is simple, and the first point is to create a full-body equipment for Hinata. Being able to quickly improve Hinata's strength and become his right hand can be said to be very key. The second point is that the two people must fully learn the immortal art in Miyamu Mountain. In this way, there will be a greater chance of winning against potential future threats. Although there are not many people who use special weapons in the ninja world, their role cannot be underestimated. If Naruto's current ability is concerned, his physical skills alone have completely surpassed most ninjas, and he can even achieve the advantage of crushing. But as the saying goes, a good monofilament does not form a line, a lone tree does not form a forest, if you can have more helpers. Episode 156, Create a New Move. Jochu and Spiral Pill. However, the distance to reach Myoku Mountain is a bit far. Naruto roughly calculated that it was actually more than 800 kilometers away to reach Mount Myoki. When he knew this distance, Hinata was a little worried. Are we going to drift 800 kilometers above the surface? That's too far. You don't have to worry about this, we can build a better ship and go slowly. By the way, you can enjoy the happiness of the world of two, don't you? No one else disturbed us above the sea, don't you say? Hinata's face turned red again, and she really had nothing to say about such words. But if you want to get a ship, you need a lot of money. At this time, Naruto suddenly thought of the money he had won with Tsunade before. I already have my own calculations in my heart. So Naruto went straight to Tsunade and asked him for a sum of money specifically for the purchase of a large ship. Tsunade also did not hesitate to directly allocate some money to Naruto. For Naruto, this money was completely enough. No matter in which world, there is always no money, and it is much stronger. And there are many things that cannot be done by force alone. After all, Naruto is not a bandit. To do things, you still have to be a decent gentleman. After coming to the beach, I easily bought a second-hand boat, although this boat is some years old, but it still looks very strong. After raising the sails, Naruto suddenly felt as if he had become one piece, Luffy. But then he shook his head and laughed helplessly. Now in the world of Hokage, how can you become one piece? Let's go to One Piece slowly later. In this way, Naruto and Hinata sailed on one ship for a total of up to a month. During this time, Naruto also taught Sueda a lot of knowledge. At the same time, he also began to assist her in practicing together. First of all, about the Hyuga clan's soft boxing, Naruto made some improvements based on the Hyuga clan's chakra characteristics and ancestral abilities. For example, the moves of Jiuquan can be said to be invincible in close combat, but they are somewhat unsatisfactory in terms of yuanyuanqing. And it just so happens that Hinata's subtle control over chakra has reached a very high peak. So Naruto began to teach Hinata, gathering chakra in his palm, and directly changing into the form of a spiral pill. Unlike ordinary spiral pills, relying only on the power of the spiral pill itself, it can still only be used at close range. But after fusing the Hyuga clan's soft boxing moves, chakra directly evolved into Jiuquan spiral pill. Jiuquan spiral pill. Ju Tian, this is a move you created alone, now we can officially test how powerful it is. Hinata is actually a genius of cultivation, and in just 10 days, he has completely mastered this trick. And Hinata was able to knead with one hand, and after the full spiral pill was brought out to aim at the target, he threw it fiercely. At the moment of throwing, a very high wave is directly stirred up on the surface of the sea. It can be seen that the speed of this move spiral pill is close to supersonic speed. Then there was a violent explosion above the surface of the sea, and its explosive power directly rolled up a monstrous wave. Naruto watched the waves that were several 10 meters high sweeping towards him, and almost knocked the entire hull over. Seeing this scene, both of them couldn't help but get excited. Hinata, you are really a genius, I didn't expect to master such an efficient long-range attack method so quickly. And it's your own move. Hinata blushed a little, and she said to Naruto. These are all your credits, and if it were on my own, it would be impossible. I didn't expect that the spiral pill could be integrated into other chakra attributes and become a stronger move. Naruto was already very satisfied with the results of his current practice. Hinata's progress has far exceeded Naruto's expectations. Now that you've mastered ranged and short-range attacks, we just need to build you a rig. At that time, I'm afraid that even the people of the Shao organization will not be your opponents. In this way, in the continuous cultivation process on the ship, Hinata has completely advanced to the peak state of Shainin. After a full month like this, Naruto finally arrived on the legendary island of Mount Myogi. From a distance, it looks like a round volcanic island. The climate here is very hot, and the trees here are all large, leafy trees that only grow in that tropical climate. The birds flying in the sky and the many strange trees here have never been seen. It's really a good place. This is Miamu Mountain, we finally arrived here. Myoki Mountain. Finally here. Naruto let out a long sigh of relief, looking at the huge island in front of him. He was a little stunned for a moment. At a certain moment, I thought I was in the world of One Piece. Huge plantain leaves, and many never-before-seen plants, cover almost the entire island. It looks like it's a vibrant island. As soon as the two stepped onto the island, they saw a black figure appearing in the woods. Naruto protected Hinata behind him and shouted loudly. Who's sneaking around there? The figure walked out unhurriedly, and after getting closer, he found that it turned out to be a toad. The toad's appearance looked a little strange, and he could even spit out words. However, it was relatively unfamiliar to the others, but Naruto confirmed that he was the high-ranking figure on the island, Lord Fukasaku-sama. On top of Miamu Mountain, the highest status is the Miyamu Immortal, and his two left and right Dharma Protector high-ranking people are Lord Fukasaku and the other. Sitting and looking at Naruto and Hinata, he spoke. "You're Naruto, I've been waiting for you here for a long time. The Miyamu Immortal said that you would come here in the next few days, so I asked me to wait here for you to come over." Myoki Immortal? Unexpectedly, he could even fulfill such a prophecy. It seems that there is indeed some skill. It turned out to be Yamasaku. "How long have you been waiting here?" "It didn't take long, I just waited here every morning, and I didn't expect you to come over today." The status of Lord Fukasaku is second only to the great Totem Mortal, and it can be said that his status is very high. "In the future, I want to learn fairy arts, and I have to learn from him." After looking Naruto up and down, he nodded in satisfaction. Sure enough, it's good. I didn't expect, Naruto, that you are even more talented than Jiraiya." Episode 157, Some Secrets About the Great Totem Mortal. The son of prophecy shown in the population of the great Totem Mortal is you, right? But who is the other person? Please tell me about it. So Naruto pulled Hinata in front of him and began to introduce him. "This is the future heir of our Hyuga family in Konoha village. She came with me to be able to learn fairy arts, and I think you should know about this." Fukasaku-sama nodded. In that case, the two of you will come with me. In any case, since you can have Lord Fukasaku to guide the way, there is no problem with everything. Lord Fukasaku's strength is actually very strong, although his physique is not large, but the cultivation of immortal arts can be said to be the top level. The future Naruto is a fairy art that he learns with Fukasaku-sama. Following Fukasaku-sama through the dense forest to a large open field, a huge building appeared in front of him. "This is the residence of the great Totem Mortal, which has been waiting for you for a long time." "Are you saying that the great Totem Mortals already knew that I would come here to learn immortal arts?" "That's nature. The great Totem Mortal has lived for thousands of years, but he has the ability to predict the future." "You two go inside, big Totem Mortal, there is something to say to you." Naruto and Hinata looked at each other, then directly held hands and entered the hall. Buildings such as the huge palace in front of you can be said to be very magnificent. To be able to build in such a place, such a building can be said to be the hand of an able person. The wide palace style and glazed roof, although it is now a little dilapidated, still cannot hide its original temperament. Naruto, who pushed open the door, saw the big toad fairy sitting in the middle at first sight. The great Totem Mortal is a huge orange toad. However, it can be seen that his grade is already very large, and there are several wrinkles on his face. There are also quite a few age spots, which are only characteristic of very old people. The big Totem Mortal sit in a huge bathtub all year round, and the water in it is a secret to help the immortals maintain their lifespan. Although it is difficult for the immortal to move now, his immortal art is still very powerful. "Naruto. You're finally here. I already know that you came here to find that piece of meteoric iron." Naruto had only told Hinata about this, and the others never knew. Unexpectedly, the big Totem Mortal could even predict this. However, Naruto did not panic, but talked about it one by one. "It seems that the big Totem Mortal, you have long known these things about meteoric iron. But I'm curious whether the record of meteorite is really." The big Totem Mortal nodded. "Of course these things are true. When the 6 Tao Immortals met me, he was just a hairy young man. If it weren't for my guidance in the later stage, I'm afraid that the 6 Immortals wouldn't have appeared. This is a character who can change the pattern of the ninja world." After the Green Path Immortals finally defeated Daido Kagaya, they divided these remaining meteoric iron into 10 parts. Hidden in all corners of the world. And the records of those inscriptions and documents are still drawn by my own hands. When Naruto heard this, he also had a bold guess in his heart. "I am afraid that the great Totem Mortal has long anticipated a huge disaster in the ninja world in the future. The purpose of leaving these meteorites instead of destroying them is to wait for their arrival. Since you yourself said that I am the child of future prophecy, where is the meteorite? I guess I'm qualified to get it in my hands." The big Totem Mortal said with a smile. "Of course, these meteorites are specially prepared for you, but they made me wait thousands of years for you to come over. It's just that the processing of these meteoric iron is a bit difficult. I'm afraid it will take you some time." "What's so difficult about this?" "Before you can create meteoric iron, you must learn immortal arts. Only by using the power of immortal arts can we create these meteoric irons and exert their attribute characteristics. At the beginning, Wufeng Shui men also wanted to come to me to take the meteoric iron, but I refused. Because although the Wave Feng Shui gate is very powerful, it is not a child of prophecy after all. So your primary goal now is to learn immortal arts, and then the meteorite will naturally be yours." Now Naruto had some other thoughts and questions, so he asked. I also have a question, that is, do you know the location of Lonely Cave and Shigulin? Originally thought that the big toad immortal would know these things, and told himself, but he shook his head. In the ninja world, our three major immortal arts exist independently of each other. And the other two are so hard to find that even I can't know. Only those who are destined to find their location will be able to find their location. Hearing this, Naruto had thoroughly understood. It seemed that if he wanted to learn fairy arts, he could only rely on fate. I don't know how I found the wet-bone forest at that time. To say that the ninja world has a total of 3 different immortal arts, they are the immortal arts of the Great Toad Immortal of Myoki Mountain, the fairy art of the White Snake Immortal in Lonely Cave, and the fairy art of the Slugs Immortal in the Wet-Bone Forest. Each of these 3 fairy arts is different. Among them, the immortal art of the Great Toad Immortal is a cultivation method used by oneself after absorbing natural energy in the body. Natural forces can be said to be everywhere in nature, and as long as they can be combined with the human body, they can stimulate all the potential of the body. This is exactly the ability of the Great Toad Immortal technique, and as long as the absorption of the immortal chakra is completed, the most obvious feature is that the double eyelids will change to orange 0. However, everyone's understanding of immortal arts is different, and there are still many risks. One of the most obvious risks is that if the absorption of natural energy during the cultivation process is unstable, then it will become a toad. And it can never be recovered. This is very deadly for a human being. After all, no one wants to live with a toad for the rest of their lives. And there is a life scene of eating all kinds of bugs for a living, and I feel sick when I think about it. However, if you want to learn fairy arts, some risks still need to be taken. After coming out of the main hall, I saw Fukasaku-sama again. So when did you start practicing immortal arts? Now. But before that, Naruto still had to move some of the living facilities off the ship first. Episode 158. If you have to say that, there is nothing wrong with it. Because he knew that there was absolutely no food that humans could taste here. If he had to eat those earthworms and insects every day here, not only would he not be able to bear it, but he also did not want Hinata to suffer this sin. So before coming here, the two had already filled the ship with various living materials in advance. All the supplies added up are enough for the two to live here for a year, since the temperature here is very hot, in order to prevent the materials from deteriorating and rotten. So all the food they buy here is preservative. Naruto must not be sloppy about these issues. The two finally arrived at the cultivation place, which was not so much a cultivation place as it was in the open space, next to a pond. Fukasaku-sama looked at Naruto and Hinata in front of him. The immortal said that you two are very talented, and I don't know if it's true. If you want to learn immortal arts, I'm afraid it will take some time. No one asked rhetorically. I heard that I also practiced here for 3 years before learning immortal arts. Is it true? 01? Of course it's true. Xiao Zilai's qualifications are actually not bad. He is so difficult to learn. Let's see if you can surpass him. No problem. It's up to me next. Wait. Before that, I want to tell you a few things to do. That's when you absorb natural energy, your body changes. When I don't master it in the early stage, my body will turn into the form of a toad, and once I find this situation, I will immediately stop cultivating. Fukasaku-sama. I know all that. Hinata on the side began to worry. If you let a girl turn into a toad, wouldn't she never be able to see people in this life? Inner concerns are always justified. Fortunately, Naruto comforted. Don't worry, Hinata, I will be there to supervise you. Once any abnormality occurs in your body, I will terminate the practice in time. How did I make you look like a toad? With Naruto's comfort and encouragement, Hinata finally made up his mind. Then let's get started. In order to absorb and feel natural energy in this cultivation mode, it is necessary to keep the body motionless in order to be able to do so. This is also an indispensable part of the cultivation process of the Great Toad Immortal Art. In the actual combat process, it is necessary to accumulate and absorb natural energy in advance, otherwise it will be very troublesome. However, there are disadvantages and advantages. Once you enter immortal mode, your combat effectiveness will be greatly improved. In other words, the strength improvement in the immortal mode is multiplied according to the physical constitution. Fukasaku-sama stood aside to supervise, while Naruto and Hinata sat opposite each other and began to meditate. The process of wanting to practice any kind of immortal art can be said to be very boring. However, after surviving this period, it is natural to get a huge return, which is an inevitable path. In the beginning, the two people still could not capture the chakra power of nature. But after gradually relaxing his mind, Naruto was already able to detect the surge of natural energy around him. This process lasted less than half a day and began to enter the state. What Naruto didn't expect was that Hinata would be able to achieve the same amazing speed of cultivation as himself. In this way, the two of them began their own path of cultivation on Mount Miamu. After just 3 days, Naruto was already able to feel a very surging natural energy wandering around. Naruto only felt the pores of his entire body open and began to frantically absorb natural energy. But just halfway through the absorption, he was suddenly woken up by a fly swatter in the deep work. Oh! Naruto opened his eyes and looked around. Fukasaku-sama on the side was looking at him. You almost turned into a toad just now, but fortunately I found it in time, otherwise I would have lived in a pond for the rest of my life. Naruto shook his head helplessly and looked at Hinata on the opposite side, but found that Hinata Akira had not changed at all. It seems that girls still have a more careful heart, and their control of this kind of detail is much stronger than that of boys. Naruto had made many mistakes in the past few days and was almost about to turn into a toad, but Fukasaku-sama was reminded by the sidelines. And Hinata's body didn't have the slightest change, which really surprised Naruto. After completing the day, Naruto and Hinata sat by the fire and ate the grilled noodles they had brought. The aromatic smell of grilled noodles fills the corners of the island. Even Fukasaku, who had never eaten these foods on weekdays, was a little hungry for adults. Is this what you humans eat? How does it look no different from the earthworms we eat? It's a big difference. The earthworms you eat are all some worm meat and the like, and we're vegan here. But there is no fresh meat to eat here, which is indeed a little unpleasant. Because I want to think that before the long-term storage in these tropical areas, the purchased materials can only be some bacon and other things. There is no fresh meat at all. It still looks a bit monotonous now. So Naruto wondered if he could get some fresh meat on Mount Myoki for himself and Hinata to fight for the tooth sacrifice. After hearing this suggestion, Lord Fukasaku said, No, there is a complete ecosystem in our Miamu mountain, and you can't eat the meat of other animals. We just catch some insects on weekdays, which is already very abundant. Or I'll give you some roasted earthworms, which are a good thing I've treasured for years. Naruto roasted a bunch of earthworms on the fire for a while, before bringing it to Hinata. Hinata quickly waved his hand and shook his head. I don't eat it, I don't eat this thing, it's a little disgusting to look at, I really can't get my stomach. If only I could eat fish. Fish? Thinking of this, Naruto suddenly moved. By the way, since it is said that the creatures in Miamu Mountain cannot be eaten casually, then it is not against the rules for us to catch fish in the sea outside Miamu Mountain. Fukasaku-sama nodded. If you have to say that, there's nothing wrong with that. But the fish in these seas around Mount Myoku are much more ferocious than ordinary fish, so you have to be careful. No matter how fierce the animal is in front of Naruto, it is the same as the little white rabbit. In less than 2 minutes, Naruto was dragged directly back from the sea, a huge fish weighing 60 pounds. After a simple treatment, it is directly placed on the grill. Episode 159, Immortal Fusion 100%. How is this possible? Although Hinata is a girl and not fat at all, her appetite is unusually large. You must know that Naruto is the king of Wei, who used to be a Chiraka ramen, the overall champion, and he ate dozens of bowls. It's just that this secret is unknown to ordinary people. With the blessing of fresh meat, Hinata's appetite was greatly improved, and most of the fish was solved by Hinata. A few people ate and chatted about the sky. I have one more question for you, and that is about meteoric iron, you should also know, right? Fukasaku-sama nodded. Of course I know this, is there anything else or doubt? Of course I have doubts, I just want to know what is so special about this meteorite, could it be that the original 6 immortal artifacts were made of these things? That's of course, those artifacts created by special techniques in the 6th Tao. However, he did not join the immortal power used by the immortals at the beginning. Therefore, the artifact he created can be said to absorb the amount of chakra of the user is too huge. Those who can use the 6 weapons can only be used by those very few experts of the Phoenix Horn. It can be said that the weapons he created cannot be promoted and are not suitable for ordinary ninjas. But if you add the power of immortal arts, then its nature will be completely different. Naruto asked curiously. How can this be different? You can understand it as the change of immortal art to each person's physique. The weapons created by different people infused with their own chakra attributes will also undergo special changes in metal depending on the system. So if you want to create a weapon that suits you, you can only let the parties build it themselves. Only then can it be perfectly matched to the chakra attribute and the builder injected into it. If its own volume of chakra is too small, then when the artifact created is used, the amount of chakra consumed will also become smaller accordingly. Although the power attribute will be weakened, it will be greatly improved in other attributes. Naruto nodded. So it seems that the plan to create weapons for Hinata can only be made by Hinata himself. Hinata shook his head after hearing this. How is this possible? I have never touched such a thing as crafting weapons. If you don't build it well, I'm afraid you will waste these precious materials. Lord Fukasaku said. You can rest assured that I will give you some operational tips before crafting weapons. Only if you master some of the points of forging weapons, then when you officially build them in the future, there will naturally be no problems. Hinata was still a little hesitant. He looked at Naruto for his opinion, and Naruto encouraged her. Don't worry, Hinata has me by your side, there is nothing you can't do. Next, we only need to practice the immortal art first, and then naturally know what to do. But we can only build one piece of equipment here, and we need to find more metal materials for us. As for other materials, we can look for them step by step. Over the next few days, Naruto and Hinata began to make great progress, and the speed at which both of them progressed, even Fukasaku-sama was amazed. It originally took several years of cultivation, but the two of them had used it for less than 2 weeks to fully grasp the laws of using immortal arts. After Naruto inhaled the surrounding fairy chakra into his body, 2 orange signs appeared above his eyes. This is a manifestation of opening the new number mode. And his body does not have any abnormalities, turning into any muscle-like state. This shows that the degree of integration between Naruto and Senjutsu is very high. Hinata, on the other hand, is a little different. Hinata's double eyelids turned red after turning on the immortal mode. When Lord Fukasaku saw the scene, he couldn't help but be a little surprised. It's really unbelievable, I didn't expect that someone could actually achieve 100% combination of immortal mode. Hinata's ability to fuse the immortal mode is so high, I really didn't expect it. Naruto asked curiously. Why is there such a change? What happens after reaching 100%? This change in color depth can intuitively reflect the content of immortal chakra stored in the body of the immortal mode. If Naruto, you can absorb the energy of natural chakra up to 10,000 each time. Then the content of 1,000 tree tea chunks in Hinata's body is 7 times that of you, and this crimson color changes this. In the subsequent battle, as the fairy chakra continues to wear out, the color on the eyelids will gradually fade until it turns orange. In this way, I can also observe the remaining amount of my chakra at any time, which can be said to be very amazing. There is also the most critical point, which is also very important. Fukasaku-sama suddenly became serious, it seemed that what he said was very heavy. Naruto and Hinata looked at Fukasaku-sama very curiously. Under normal cultivation conditions, if you want to obtain natural energy absorption as chakra, you need to remain motionless and still. Of course, this is not a problem in normal times, but it can be a shortcoming in battle. If you don't have the right timing, you are likely to be detected by your opponent. But if you can achieve a fit like Miss Hinata, 100% of people will not have such worries. In other words, Miss Hinata can move freely without remaining still. Chakra, the natural energy of the natural state, can be absorbed anytime, anywhere. Really do it at any time to replenish and use the ability of the novice chakra at any time. It can be said that it has achieved a real 100% endless fairy chakra. This is also the peak state of the immortal ability, created by the great Toad Immortal. Depend on, but Naruto, don't be discouraged, you can reach this state with your ability, just need a little practice. Of course, Naruto was very happy about this, after all, Hinata could become stronger. It's a good thing for yourself. Since you have all come to this point, then I should also take you to see the legendary meteorite. Regarding the ability to build, I will naturally teach you by hand. I originally thought that the meteorite would be placed in a very secret place. Episode 160. In other words, the place where this meteorite is placed is too casual, right? Unexpectedly, Lord Fukasaku directly led the two to the highest summit of Myoki Mountain. The height of this mountain is about 1 kilometer above sea level, and you can see all the surrounding scenery from here. Beyond a small island, there is an endless dark ocean. And the small mountain here has become so outstanding, there are some unforgettable scenery. And on the top of the mountain there is a stone table, and on the stone table is a meteorite placed so dignified. This piece of meteorite has an irregular shape and contains a lot of impurities on it. Naruto carefully held him in the palm of his hand, and it turned out to be about 20 pounds. Fukasaku-sama explained. Don't look at this meteorite is very large, but after it melts, it can absorb all the metal. The metal inside is only about 2 caddies after melting. Miss Hinata, what kind of weapon do you want to build, tell me first. Hinata thought for a moment before saying, I haven't figured out what weapon I want, I think I'd better let Naruto pick it with me. Naruto said without hesitation. Then build a long sword, this weapon can be said to be the best. Unexpectedly, Fukasaku shook his head when the adult heard it. No, in my opinion, according to Miss Hinata 217's own ability characteristics, common is not suitable for him. Because he majored in jiu-jitsu and his meticulous control over chakra. It would be better if you could make a pair of bracelets. Lord Fukasaku explains why he chose to create a pair of bracelets. The bracelet hides itself very well, and just injecting chakra can form protection and long-range attack ability after throwing. This is similar to the jiu-jitsu bagwazang practiced by Hinata. Not only can it be a very good fit, but it can also be an offensive and defensive combination. Not only can it reach the peak of the output at close range, but the long-range support attack is not lagging behind. And we also have a pair of drawings about creating a diamond bracelet here. There are also some special inscription spells on top of the drawings, which will be able to exert maximum power if they are fused into one. Naruto asked. Who drew this drawing? Why have you never heard of such a thing? Do you still need to say that? Appearing at Armiamu Mountain, it must have been drawn by the big toad immortal himself. Even the weapons created by the original 6 Tao immortals were designed by our great toad immortals themselves. So Naruto took this cloud directly, and the iron rushed to the place where it was ready to forge. Inside a dilapidated thatched hut on Myoku Mountain, some forging tools were placed inside. These tools have long been tattered and rusty. It looks like it's been a very long time and no one has moved it anymore. Fukasaku-sama pointed to the tools and said. These things were also used once when they were building the artifacts of the 6 Tao immortals for thousands of years, and they have never been touched by anyone until now. I didn't expect him to be rekindled today. Fukasaku-sama found the drawing of the pair of diamond bracelets directly from a box of debris and handed it to Hinata. Look closely at the diamond bracelet on that drawing, and it is very delicate. The style is not only small and exquisite, but also shiny gold, looking very beautiful. This is a bracelet, this is simply a craft and a work of art. Hinata seems to like this bracelet very much. I decided to make this bracelet, it looks very beautiful and no one nods, as long as Hinata likes something, of course he is 100%. Agreed and supported. Hinata-san, before that, I have to tell you some of the process of building. When crafting, you must use the power of immortal magic and the chakra in your body to light this fire. There's no fuel in the fire, so you'll need to burn your chakra as a source of heat. When forging, your chakra attributes will naturally fuse into this piece of metal and become the weapon that best suits you. Then, under the instructions of Fukasaku-sama, Hinata began the process of forging this weapon. The first is to completely burn and melt this piece of meteoric iron and completely remove the impurities inside. After leaving these metals, they are the raw materials used to make weapons. Hinata has never used these things, but she is very studious and has mastered these various tools in just one day. And Naruto was watching and instructing and learning these things. The Hinata in the thatched hut sweated like rain, and although the process of building it was very hard, it was also very happy. Because this is not only as simple as crafting weapons, but also a recognition of one's own ability. And you can make your favorite weapon, who can refuse such a temptation? When the weapon was in the final stage of forming, Hinata injected a pair of bracelets with fairy chakra, activating the attributes of meteoric iron. After finally completing it, Hinata looked at the bracelet he had created with his own hands, and he was extremely excited. This bracelet was not only created by Hinata himself, but also added some chakra attribute prohibitions and formations to it. Maximizes the power of this bracelet. Fukasaku-sama also nodded in satisfaction after seeing the scene. Good. Miss Hinata is not only kind and beautiful, but also has a pair of skillful hands. I was able to create a weapon that was exactly the same as the drawings. Hinata's whole face turned red when he said this, but before that, I want to explain to you some tips and tricks about the use of this bracelet. I can quickly get started when I use it later. Hinata nodded and really listened to the explanation of the gods. A weapon that can be crafted from meteorite can be said to be indestructible, so it can use 2 attack modes. The first type is to inject ordinary self-chakra, which will use normal attack mode, which is completely sufficient for some low-strength ninjas. If you encounter a strong opponent, you need to inject the fairy chakra, and the bracelet will open its strongest form. The amount of chakra it absorbs will be very large, but fortunately you can replenish it in time.